Las Vegas, Nevada. We are here today. We're here today. First interview in a very long time. So thank you for those that are joining us. This is called Let's Get Candid. And today's topic is Take the Note. It's not personal. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Liinda from Las Vegas. Liinda Garisto is a dancer and percussionist from Toronto and is currently performing in Magic Mike in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's a fun show. She has performed in numerous live shows such as Stomp Out Loud, Las Vegas, Ivan Kane's 40 Deuce Las Vegas. I hope I say this right, Neo, Mr. Smith tour. Her TV film credits include Jane the Virgin, Glee, 82nd Annual Academy Awards, Billboard Music Awards, So You Think You Can Dance and Step Up 3D. Liinda has appeared in music videos for Aloe, Blacc, and Katy Perry, and in national commercials for H&R Block and IHOP. Let's just say she's been a busy girl. Liinda, welcome so much. I'm so happy, and I hear it's super warm there today in Las Vegas.
It is. Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for having me. I brought my tea. I'm so excited. Thank you again.
Oh, so happy to have you. My goodness.
Thank you.
So tell us, start off with like a little nugget or something that you've been up to these last few days. I know we were all sort of in our homes and doing our part to, participate in this, social distancing as it's called. So what have you been up to?
So luckily, I found this really cool track in Las Vegas. It belongs to a high school not too far from my house. I had been doing laps around different parts of my neighborhood that I'd never explored before on foot.
Nice.
So that was really cool. So I found this track that is, honestly, it reminds me of competing at York University in elementary school, because I used to run 100-meter and long jump. They have a long jump pit, batting cage, and there's just one gate and it's open. So I've been going there with my jump rope, with my Beats pill. I've been dancing on the track. I've been skipping on the track. Whatever I can do on that track, I've been doing it. And it's great because there's not a lot of people there. Actually, barely anyone. So that's been really exciting to be able to get out of the house and have like this big old stage to work out and play. And
it's your own stage. That's awesome.
To be outside. Yeah. So that's been really great here.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, good. How's Las Vegas doing? I feel so bad for Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, we're just trying to take it as it comes and be in good spirits. And a lot of my friends that I spoke to, just hanging in there and taking part in the online world, teaching classes, joining in on lives, having fun, like cocktail hours or
That's awesome.
Or drive-bys. Actually, I know a couple of friends, they have this like entertainment service where like they'll drive through a neighborhood and put on a show, So it's cool. Everyone seems to be in good spirits, but we're here and we all can't wait to get back and
for sure.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool. I think that people are just being very creative by the sounds of it anyway.
Yes.
Just finding ways to I think as humans we're not meant to be locked up for too long. We like to social interact, like to get our hugs and our kisses in and such.
Definitely.
Great. Well, we've got some people that have joined us already. If anyone has any comments, I'm not sure if you can see. You can type out some questions for Liinda. We do have a few that were sent in a little earlier. And so today we're just going to have a nice little chat with Liinda and get to know her a little bit better. So I hope you enjoy the interview. Liinda, we just wanted to start with when you started to dance, at what age? And let's just talk about when you started and what you started with. It'd be great.
Yes. So around 3 years old, if my memory serves me correctly. Yeah, my mom put me in ballet. I started there like a kiddies class, and as well as creative movement. And then I think not too long after that, like a gymnastics program for kids, But it really just started with ballet, then eventually gym. And then as I got a little bit older, a big old 6 years old, that's when when I was the ripe age of 6, that's when jazz and ballet, additional to ballet, tap, acro, that entered my world. And then shortly after that, competition started. So my base is ballet, tap, jazz when I was a
Very
wee old
little.
6 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell the audience a little bit about what happened when you were 6 and how you had to make this like life-changing decision.
Right. So I was simultaneously training in dance, ballet, tap, and jazz, as well as competing in gymnastics.
Right.
And I think it just got to a point where you kind of you have to devote a certain level of time.
Mhm.
And it was hard to sort of to do both. They're both very demanding. And if I wanted to proceed further in gymnastics, that's you have to just focus and stay committed to
Of course.
gym. And so the timing of it, although I would have loved to have been able to do both and maybe go further in my gym career and potentially train for the Olympics and,
Mhm.
at such a young age, not even knowing what that meant, but just knowing that I could do it,
Yeah.
I kind of had to just decide between the two. And I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, but yeah, you both just need to devote a certain amount of time to
Right.
either one. And I think maybe felt like I could go a bit further with dance,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the long run of things.
That's a really young age to have to make that decision too. But
Yeah.
it looks like dance has paid off for you. So I think it was a good decision.
Right.
And so, what was your favorite genre? Your favorite dance genre?
Yes. I think I always loved jazz.
Mm-hmm.
As I got older, I dove into different other genres and different styles, but jazz always, I think, spoke to me the most, in terms of what your body has to go through,
Mm-hmm.
jumps, leaps, turns, the accuracy. It's like, it's all like the world. It's ballet, it's musicality, it's flavor and style. It's, it's so individual. You could be a technician.
Mm-hmm.
You could also be super expressive with it. So I think jazz always spoke to me a little differently than the other,
Right.
the other genres.
Yeah.
But
I totally get it. It suits your personality too, which is a good thing.
I felt fierce doing jazz. Like, there's
Yes.
something about doing a pirouette and coming out of a pirouette and then running and into a leap and
Yeah.
landing. I don't know. There's some fierceness about jazz that speaks differently.
Right. And there's so many different styles of jazz too, for sure.
Totally.
I can see. Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you a little bit about, we had talked previously and you talked about when you stopped dancing, which is very sad, but we're on the other side and you're still dancing. But just tell our audience what happened. Why did you stop? Where did you go?
Yeah. So interesting time. I was around, I would say about 13 years old, and I had been dancing, and competing really since 6. Like, it was just, I hadn't stopped. I think by about 13, I was feeling like I wanted to have like a normal life and go to my friends' birthday parties and be able to do the after school things and, just simple teenage stuff, I was also very motivated by music. I've always loved music since a young age. Like, I can remember really being glued to the TV, like very early ages, and knowing every artist on the top 10 and every music video.
Right.
Like, I really love music. So interestingly, I knew I wanted to continue pursuing and learning and keeping active. I didn't want to like stop altogether. I always enjoyed tap, and I thought that with tap, I could transfer that information to my hands. And since I was really into music, I thought I could play drums. Since I know what to do with my feet, I should be able to know what to do with my hands. And I think it worked. It worked. So I started to take drum lessons and completely stopped dancing altogether. It wasn't like a terrible feeling. It was just a feeling of like, I just want to break out and do something new, but still familiar. Just wanted to try my hands at something else, and dove right into music. Had a drum teacher, went for weekly lessons, went into a music program at high school.
Welcome
just
to the world.
Full focus.
There we go.
And I was learning rock music right off the top, which was also different too, because the studios are not really dancing to rock, let's say, but right away it was like, a different kind of information, a different kind of history, but the same idea, same like relatables, like working with dynamics, working with notes, pauses, reps. It was like that same dance language, just translated for sheet and for eyes and for ears. So I found it to be very easy, and I found like I had a natural instinct for it. And I think my drum teacher recognized that too. So he really pushed me. Like he had me playing stuff that I probably shouldn't have played at that level, but he was just like, just learn this Afro, Latin, learn this jazz, make sure you have jazz. You know, he just threw me in, and I was like, okay, yeah, I felt like I could do it. I could do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for you. I just have a comment. I'm going to
Hi,
see if I can reply to. Oh, Ron Walker says very cool. Ron's a musician, a professional musician, and he is phenomenal. Yeah, so I'm so happy he's on here. Yeah, thanks, Ron, for joining us. I have a question. Did you have to get a drum set in your parents' home, or like where did you practice? Like,
yes.
It would be a little loud.
So eventually, I had to practice at home, because otherwise I would have to go to the drum. It's called Just Drums, actually. I don't know if it's still there. It's on Yonge Street. It was on Yonge Street.
Okay.
Cool. Otherwise, I'd have to go to the studio early, or I'd have to find some way to practice. So
yeah.
So yeah, we did find a set of used drums. They were it was a Tama set. Oh my gosh, it was called Swing Star. I don't know if they make them anymore. It was like an entry level kit, white. So I felt like Sheila E., like all white shells. And I practiced on that.
Awesome.
We had it in the basement. I had my own little like corner in the basement with my little drums, and yeah, I made all the noise down in the basement. I dampened the sound a bit, but that's where I practiced.
How do you dampen? Okay, I have to ask, because I don't know anything. How do you dampen the sound?
So interesting ways. At the time, and I'm sure there's actual technology for this.
I'm going to take notes. Hang on.
Right? You put duct tape on the skins.
Oh,
somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, it somehow dampens the sound a little bit, or makes it a little more like tighter, I'd say. Towels. I'd lay some towels on top of the skins, so that way I'm
Just
like
right on top. Oh,
yeah, but not necessarily for volume, just to get into sticking. And I had a practice pad too, and so I could just practice rudiments and stuff. Yeah, and then I think I also played music really loudly against it, so that it could drown me out, but I could still play with something.
Right.
So I hope my parents enjoyed that. I also tried to play when like no one was home, like, you know.
Fair.
That's
fair.
School would have been good, because, you know, not everyone was home at one time. So
right, you found your pockets, you found your little spots. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea. Duct tape and towels, taking notes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went to Performing Arts High School, if I remember correctly. And,
yes,
and
I went
tell
to
us what happened. What happened? So you went from dance. Well, you went from gymnastics and dance. Take up dancing quite a few hours a week. Then dropping dance, going into drumming. And then what happened? I mean, you're at high school, so what happened?
So now it's time for high school, and my cousin was going to this particular art school, and I thought I'd like to go there, and I'm a year behind her, so I had to auditioned for the music program, and to my advantage, I was the only percussionist in my year. So I don't want to say it was a shoo-in, but maybe it was, you know, because they didn't have anyone to handle all of the percussion, and that would have meant that I only came in with drum, with kit knowledge, but now I would have had to learn timpani, like symphonic music, timpani and bells, xylophone, marimba, things that actually have like, you know, like notes, not that drums don't have notes, but like values and theory that I didn't learn past, you know, or what I had only learned so far. So I pretty much had to like learn music, learn the piano keyboard in order to play these instruments. So I remember the summer before, they gave me a bunch of like theory books and just anything that I can just kind of get ahead on, because I was coming into a group of people who've been playing music for their whole childhood. So can you imagine, like,
oh my,
like, you know, jumping into a grade where like everyone who's been playing music for X amount of years, now that's their focus, and I'm playing catch up. I have like a summer to figure this out.
To do it. Oh my gosh. I have
to be able to play everything. But somehow, like I said, if it wasn't for the dance training, you know, they both informed each other, you know, and because of that, I got to learn how to, like, I played in jazz band and jazz combo, and then, you know, symphonic. So I got to learn a little bit about all the worlds that were offered at my school. And then somehow it taught me about dance again. So while going through high school, I decided to go to the dance program in the last year of high school.
Wait a minute. Whoa, just hang on 1 second. Okay.
Yeah.
you have it's so much going on. I have a question for you. Someone wants to know what high school.
Oh, yes. Hi, Ron. It was Cardinal Carter Academy for the Arts.
In Toronto.
North York, Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Okay.
So it was
all right. So
switch up. Yeah.
Okay, so what made you did you just walk into a studio at the school and start dancing in it, or what happened? How did
it
happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
So interesting. I'm such a Gemini, right? Just all over the place. I started to take classes, drop-in classes at Randolph's Academy, downtown Toronto. I started going 16, 17 years old when I could ride the subways everywhere. Or I mean, my school was in the city, so I was riding subway anywhere anyway. And I started taking classes after school just to, I don't know, see if I still could, you know? So I would drop into jazz classes and hip hop classes at the studio. And so that's what kind of got me in gear again to like thinking I wanted to switch gears and go back to dance. Not really abandoning what I've learned in drums, but to then push myself again, and then with this new knowledge. Right. And at the time, I didn't think about where I was going to go with dance. I was curious, like, could I still take in choreography? Could I still, retain information? You know, it was really just an experiment to see if I could. Because by that point, it had been a good, 5 years since I went to a dance studio. So it was kind of a personal experiment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a few years to take off from dance as well, right? The conditioning and the training as a dancer, that's quite a time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's such a crucial time too. And that was part of seeing if I could, because I know that I missed a really crucial part of my dance development and training in those years, you know? Mm-hmm. Yes. And so I thought, okay, once again, trying to play catch up, but with myself, and also expanding to different genres that I didn't have at the time in competition school. Taking theater jazz or more specific, theater jazz, hip hop, Latin, or various forms of Latin dance. So nice. Just once again, trying my hand at different things just to see how I take. And my motivation for taking those classes was because I love the music. So I wanted to see if I could.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just, it was music first. Everything was always music first for me. When I really think about it as a dancer, it's if I like the music, I want to be able to express it somehow in my body, be able to marry the two. Yeah.
I get it. I understand that for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. So so let's take us to what happened. So you're finished with high school, I guess, finishing high school, taking classes in Toronto. And I do remember Randolph, anyways, long time ago, but yes, they're here
He's
again
fantastic.
with the college. They've really evolved. Yeah, he is fantastic. Yeah, blessings. He's a pioneer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And so after what happened? So you're dancing, and tell us what happened after that, because this is very interesting. So you did have a leap of faith. So
I was at the studios at Randolph's, and there's a message board, a bulletin board kind of thing, and there's always postings about different things going on in the city, or rent available, or just anything, message board. And there was an audition notice for an upcoming job, and a friend of mine decided to go and was like, come along, and let's just go. I'm like, okay, once again, I didn't go with the intention of actually working in dance. I just wanted to see if I could, so go to the audition, book the job, and that was technically my first professional job, and it was for music videos for artists in Vietnam that they shot in Toronto. So I had to ask for permission to leave school for a few weeks, because the job was about 3 or so weeks total, or if not, I think about 3 weeks total between rehearsal and shoot. And that was my first taste of professional working world, where I had to audition for something and rehearse and my first time on set, and finished product. So that was kind of cool.
I bet you learned a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But did your friend so the friend that asked you to go to the audition, did they actually get in the show as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
We
good.
both got
Okay,
in.
good. Okay. Oh,
And
happy
also
story.
met
Happy
some
ending.
more, yeah, and that was the coolest thing. Like we got to expand, our network and meet more dancers, in Toronto, or came from different programs or studied in different places. Like I remember one dancer, she used to train at National Ballet. So, that was a really cool time too, to meet people outside of my world or outside of my school. So
Right.
it was neat to experience that, like a lot of firsts in that moment.
Yeah. So when you were doing your first professional job, what sorts of thing? I mean, this would be very new for you because you just literally did a leapfrog into the professional world, and now you're working 3 weeks without school and just working as a professional dancer. So what was it like? What did you learn? Was it difficult?
Yeah, it felt, I felt like, I felt very, I guess, uplifted, because the team was from Los Angeles. And so it was a group of Toronto talent, Los Angeles production, and also Vietnamese artists. So we were in this world together. Some people spoke English, some people didn't. It was traditional dancing, it was pop and jazz. It was a mix of all things. So I learned, looking back at it, I learned that I had to adapt quickly to the environment, adapt to different personalities, adapt to long rehearsal days, which wasn't too far of a stretch because coming from competition world and rehearsing for, X amount of hours, and, it's like, okay, I knew at least that part, there's going to be like the hard work part of it is real.
Right.
But then now working in an environment where we have a goal to accomplish by a certain day, a certain time, and there's certain things we have to learn information, retain it, and be able to recall it on set. Stepping onto set, learning to perform without an audience. You're just in 4 walls with lights, and you can kind of see out, but not really. They can see you. So I remember thinking, like, am I supposed to look at camera? Where am I looking to? Where's my sight line?
Where do I look?
Where do I look? Because there's an audience.
And it's a different energy too, right? So
different energy. So there's a lot of things to like little, notes. I don't know if I got it all right. I don't know, but little things that I was like, wow, But the adaptability, I think, was major. And then working with dancers with incredible skill, like working with b-boys, working with ballet dancers, working with artists, learning how to be part of an artist's picture, and not to like overthrow that kind of thing, like to still maintain the picture because it's about the artist, showcasing the artist and the environment in which you're in. So it was a lot of first and a lot of on the job lessons that I didn't realize at the time I was learning. It was
but you realize them afterwards.
Afterwards,
and that's a lot.
Okay,
that's a lot.
That's how that rolls.
Right. Yeah, that's how that rolls. All right. So now take us to, so you did your first professional gig. We did talk a little bit about you traveling as a young, I know a little late. I guess you were 18, maybe 19. I'm not even sure. Now we'll talk about that. But traveling to New York and LA to take classes. So your parents just put you on a bus? How did this happen? Tell me.
I wish. Yeah, I was quite the ambitious child. Yeah. Luckily, I was able to finish school a semester early, got all my credits in, and the semester that I was off, I traveled to Cuba. But to just rewind from then, I had always maintained after school jobs as well. I guess when I legally could. So I had saved up some type of money to get there. And, I went to study in Cuba, in Havana, for I guess it was like 6 or so weeks. And it was just a language program, but it just so happened that the school is, it's called Instituto Superior de Arte, and it's an arts university. So just so happened that I'm taking Spanish and then also dancing after school with the Cubans, like in the courtyard. So we
How
did these
awesome is
informal,
that?
yeah, these informal classes where they wanted to learn jazz, and I was like, show me everything. So we would teach each other in the commons. They were so thrilled, you know, because their schooling was like there's ballet and modern, you know,
Oh, really
and
interesting. Yeah, of
very strict, incredible dancers. It's
course.
phenomenal. Anyway,
Hmm.
so that having that opportunity to go abroad for a little bit, pick up what's going on over there and see their relation between dance and music
Hmm.
also then informed me
Very
about
interesting.
like, oh, this is something I can actually do. Like, it's not like, oh, let me just see if I can. It's like, oh, this is a thing. Like, people do this, you know, like
Right.
people
Yeah.
train for
Yeah.
this. You are studying to be a dancer, a musician. This is what you do. So it was beautiful to see that pride and to see that talent and that dedication. So from then, that's what I think spawned my idea to be able to take my summers and to go abroad. And I went to New York the following year. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it was the following year,
Right.
and put myself in a work study program at Broadway Dance Center, which allowed me to have the equivalent of work hours to dance classes. So every hour I worked, I got a dance class at a
Oh, that's
very
like it's like kind of like a trade-off.
like a trade-off, yeah. So it
Smart.
allowed me to
Yeah.
be in the studio, take like 17,000 classes a week, and that's that's another place where I got to train in also different styles that were
Of course.
offered in New York that maybe and more specifically that maybe weren't offered or as available in Toronto at the time,
Right.
you know, and then allowed me to go to different studios there at Geneva, and I would drop in classes at Ailey and Steps, and I just immersed myself. So
Right.
once again, like every little step, I just went a little bit further, dove a little deeper, and this was all still me just taking it in and training and just trying
Right.
to build some type of like a bigger dance vocabulary.
Now,
Um,
when you went to New York, for instance, did you do it in the summer, or did you
yes,
take 6 months, or so there was summer
yeah,
training?
it was
It
great
was a great
because
idea, actually.
the
Yeah.
summer yeah, and you know what, I hope they still offer it because it was
Hmm.
really
I
neat. It
did
was a
too.
summer program, um like July, August, it was something like that. It was just like a concise program, and you had to I guess you had to submit for it. It wasn't a live audition, but there was definitely an application process.
Okay.
They chose candidates based on whatever their application process was, and so it was cool. You got to meet people from all across Canada and the US. It wasn't a big group of us, but every year they did this. We had to find our own housing,
Hmm.
and then um, they provided us with the hours, and then we could take whatever classes we wanted, and it was really neat. So um, yeah, I was really grateful for things like that. It really expanded me, and that prepared me.
Oh, of
Just
course.
before college, I jumped into a Ryerson theater dance program, and that was sort of a good
Nice.
precursor to like what a theater world or a theater what to prepare for in jumping
Right.
into this new world. Yeah,
Very nice. Yeah. Now, when
yeah.
you went to New York, how old were you? Do you remember how old you
The
were
first
in New York?
time I was
Mm.
19. Ooh. I was like 19, 20,
Yeah.
and I came back a little bit, and then I went back. New York was a little bit like I returned to New York periodically. Like I would go for 2 months,
Right.
come back, and then I went again for another 6 months and come back. Like it was
Right.
periodic. But the first two times I went and did the program, I was 19 and 20, I believe. Yeah,
Very
back to
nice.
back
Yeah.
summers.
Very nice.
So
Uh,
a baby,
Babe, yes,
a baby.
definitely. It's a big leap of faith. So let's just talk very quickly about. You obviously had a good support system in order to be able to do all of this, right? I mean, you just didn't show up at 6 and go, okay, now I'm going to do dance, and now I'm going to do
Yeah.
drumming. So, you know, for a parent or a grandparent or whomever your support was, your system, it could be a group of people. Why don't we talk
Mhm.
about that a little bit, okay? If
Sure.
you're okay with that, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So my mom is what it was and still is a really big proponent of my support. I mean, my whole
Hmm.
family is definitely supportive of me, but I think without my mom, I wouldn't have made those jumps as easily. Although I felt like I could sustain myself and I had my side jobs and I could pay for it. You know, I definitely wasn't asking for my parents to support me fully.
Right.
But my mom was definitely really integral in encouraging me to continue education.
Right.
Wherever, however, if it was courses abroad or courses within the city or just expansion of the mind in general. She was always like, yeah, just do it. You know, it can't hurt you. So she definitely allowed me to go away. She didn't stop me. She didn't, you know, she was like, well, you can, you worked hard for it. You had your, you know, you did good in school and you worked hard after school and like, why wouldn't you, you know?
Right.
I wouldn't say it was met with resistance from my father. I just think he didn't really understand.
Fair. Yeah.
You know, it's not like he said no and stopped me. I didn't feel any like resistance that way. I even had to tell him like, Dad, this is what I'm doing. Like at one point I didn't even ask permission. I'm like,
this
I
is
have
what
money and I'm doing this. Like
that a girl.
You know, but like in a way where it's like, I know it's good for me, Dad. Like, you know, and it's like I said, it's not that he stopped me either. I think he just didn't understand.
That's fair.
All.
He does know. He does know.
He does now. Yeah. And even so, I'm sure he would love for me to come home and, you know, be home. Yeah. But I think it took a while for him to understand that in order to pursue what I want to in this industry, I kind of had to leave, you know, or at least be able to leave and come back with something, come back with what I've learned. So, so no one in the family has done this, right? So I didn't even know myself. I didn't really have a roadmap or someone to kind of guide me along and, you know, give me the yeses and the nos and the guidance. So I was also brand new at it. My mom didn't know either, really. She was just like, go learn something, you know? So it was a lot of risk, but also like a lot of reward too. Like a lot of things that, you know, that I feel, like with those experiences, like it's all relatable and translatable. So I don't feel like, I'm sorry, I do feel like everything I've learned thus far has helped me to this day.
In life,
and will continue to.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's now jump over to your very first professional job. I want to hear what STOMP. I love STOMP. I love STOMP. And if, for those of you that are on, some of the dancers may not know what STOMP is, put something in the chat or message me later and I'll send you some links because it is a phenomenal show. And it's a perfect show for Liinda with her music background and her dance background. So tell us about STOMP.
Absolutely. So STOMP was a really, really, really cool experience. Just jumping over to 2006, I was in LA. After spending time in New York, I decided to go to LA and try my hand at the professional world there. I was able to get a 4-month visa through school. And while I was in LA, audition and try to obtain work. I was able to get an agent. And then not too long after the agency, I got a call for STOMP. And that show was to start in Las Vegas. So right at the very end of my period in LA before I were to come back home, I auditioned for STOMP in Vegas, and it was a series of calls, like almost like workshops, and I got it. And so now I'm like, okay, I got it, and I gotta go home. So right away, I had to start working on my first official U.S. visa to then start the show. But no, STOMP was incredible. It is, and it was the perfect union of my skills. Of having the dance background, the movement background, my music background as well, percussion, and then having to put them together and say, okay, go.
It's ideal for you. It really is an ideal show.
Oh, it was so cool. It was so cool. And to be able to stomp with, OGs, like I was in shows with the people that I saw perform, people that I saw, Carlos Thomas, he did a workshop at George Randolph's when I just started to dance again.
No way. That's incredible.
So I was tripping. I'm like, I was 17 years old taking your body percussion class, and now I'm on a show with you 6 years later.
Wow, that's incredible.
So it blew my mind. I was like, oh, now it dawned on me, like, oh, I can really do this.
I
it was
love it.
trippy. Like the same performers that you see
Yeah,
on the special, on the Stomp special, Stomp Out Loud. It's like, I'm in the room with these people.
right.
This is crazy. I remember going to New York for finals years ago, and all the Stomp billboards in New York City. I remember thinking like, oh, that's so cool as a child. So it was a really pivotal moment for me,
Of course.
and to be able to learn the Stomp vocabulary, which was unconventional because it's not like anything that we did in drum class. It wasn't
Right.
written down. There wasn't sheet music. There wasn't a vocabulary except for what you
Right.
listened for, what you put in your body, and what you came out, kind of thing.
Interesting.
So it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was a different way to intake information and absorb it. It was a different kind of
That's
music
really
class, let's say.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had talked a little bit about Stomp and what you learned. You said it was a very visual learning experience and
Yeah.
audible learning experience
Yeah.
for you. So tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah. So it was so neat. We learned right away that if you can say it, you can play it. So a lot of the rhythms that we learned,
I love
we
it.
had to vocalize it or clap it or something. Because if you can put it in your body, or sorry, if you can say it or sing it, your body will do it naturally.
So true.
That was
Yeah,
really like
100%. Mhm.
light bulb moment, like, wow. So it's magic. It is. It really is absolutely magic.
It is.
So rehearsals consisted of call and response, and
Yeah.
singing, saying and speaking and singing, and then being able to take it in your body and then now apply it with an instrument, and then learning how to maneuver the instrument, like the brooms or the lids or whatever, in a way that
Yeah.
it felt right for you, right? And through trial and error.
Mhm.
So it was just a lot of like figuring it out, what it means for you, and then putting it all together. Listening was also a big part of Stomp too.
Right.
You learn right away where your natural rhythm is, your innate rhythm. Like you may be someone who naturally sits behind the beat,
True.
on the
Yeah.
beat, or
Mhm.
ahead of the beat.
Mhm.
And that's same with dance. It's like when you always see those dancers rushing, it's the exact same
Yeah.
thing. You're like, ah.
It's so true because you hear the music. You will hear the music differently. Even as a choreographer, there are
Yeah.
pockets of music where you want the dancer just a little bit behind it or get in front of it. And it's difficult
Yes.
sometimes to get the dancer to understand that, unless, of course, they're in a professional world. But yeah,
Yes.
it's so true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So learning about yourself within the piece and learning where you lie in it. So whether you have to push or lay back, and listening was a big part of that.
Right.
You have to split the difference, because if everyone is responsible for one note and you're going down a line,
Yeah.
you have to tune in, because you'll miss it or you'll jump it, or So it's like
Oops,
being
missed
in a
that
band.
one. Right.
It's like
Yeah.
being in a band. It was
That's incredible.
like concert band again, but now without a note and without a conductor. Now it's just like this,
That is so
your
cool.
eyes
And the
and your
timing in that
ears.
show is incredible. So I can't even imagine. And
Oh my gosh.
how long did you do Stomp for?
So we opened 2007 and closed at the top of 2009. So I was there for a good, the biggest chunk of it, about a year and a half. And then 6 months I was coming back and forth and being like a vacation swing and cover swing. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it was great. So good.
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
to this day, it's like I always think about jumping in again. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do it. And it's wonderful because there's a lot of stompers that still live here in Vegas and in LA. So every so often when we get together, or if we have jobs kind of in the realm of
Yeah.
Stomp world, we're always on it. Yeah.
I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The friends, the dance family, the performing arts family, the musician
Mhm.
family, along the way, it seems so vast, but it really isn't.
Oh, yeah.
You always come around at some
Yeah.
point. And
Yeah.
I know it's important to say, always be kind, be humble, be generous, because you will meet these people again.
Yes.
It's just how
Oh, yeah.
how it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, for sure. And so I'm like, I have so many questions, and we're getting almost to the end of this. And we'll have to have you back again.
Of
You come
course,
back
let's do
again.
all the parts.
We'll do all the parts.
More tea.
I have some more tea, please. I was thinking more wine. Oh, I can't say that. Can I say that? I can say whatever I want. Okay. Well, there's so many questions, but we do have a couple questions that came. We have actually as you know, we had a lot of questions come in advance of this interview. So thank you for everyone that sent those in. And I've got two that we pulled today. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask them. And if you wouldn't mind answering, that'd be great. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So this is from Grayson, and she asked if you, yeah, if you could look back at yourself when you were younger, what would you tell her? That's a good question.
Yeah, I would say, young Liinda, continue to explore, continue to dive in,
Right.
to things that maybe aren't comfortable. Continue to expand. You know, if there's an opportunity to get into programs, whether it be summer programs or semesters or workshops,
Right.
and it could be anything related to what you're doing or not related. Jump in, try it. You know, for example, something like vocal. I didn't touch vocal training until college, right? But and in a way, I kind of like, oh, well, I could have done this too. Like I could have thrown that all in the mix, right? So it's so interesting.
It's not too late.
You don't know if you can do it, right? Like everything seems so daunting, but just try. Right?
Just try.
Like sometimes you don't even know you can. So just try it. So I would just say, like, just to continue to be curious, keep exploring, and just jump in, because it's all fuel for you. You know, whether you do something with it doesn't matter, but it's something in your belt, you know.
Yeah,
so hold on to it and learn something, and just keep it close by you if all you did was just that, just a new skill or a new way to express, or just a new way to be inspired.
That's really good advice, actually. That's great advice. Keep digging.
Get trouble and keep digging.
That's great advice, actually. That's good for life too, not just for dancers, right? So a second question came in here from Maya, and she wants to know, how many hours per week did you dance? So you can talk about when you were younger or a little bit older. It's up to you.
I'm gonna say averagely like 20,000. It was a good 20,000. I know it's like more hours in a year. No, it was a lot. It was, you know, it could. I would put it this way: it would be like, on average, at least 3 classes a night, and that could be from competition school, or even when I'm thinking about taking drop-in classes, like when I was taking over at Broadway Dance Center. Oh, sorry, when I say competition school, performing dance arts. That's where I spent a good chunk of my time. Shout out Performing PDA.
The PDA, I know.
the few years I was there, that was also, we can probably go into a whole nother like part 600 just on PDA. But that was a major part of my life. So I owe them everything. But at PDA, it could be at least 3 classes a night, depending on, you know, where in the year we were. And even now, like previously when I was in New York or LA training and taking class at the studios there, Millennium, Debbie Reynolds. Yeah, it would be at least 2 to 3 classes a day, just depending. Because when I wasn't working, I was taking class. Right. So it just depended on how the weeks were going. But I mean, and if every class is about an hour and a half, at least a good 3 to 4 hours, sometimes even 6 hours a day.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. By the way, I saw that Debbie reached out on Facebook to say hi, and maybe this will connect you guys again,
Debbie,
right? It would be awesome.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
I love that whole
she's
family.
just very special, that girl. I know they are amazing people. Again, more pioneers in the industry. I truly admire all of them. Yeah, they're incredible people. There's still so much to talk about, and I want to show them your latest video, but we're running out of time. I know. Okay. So would you please come back?
Of course.
Yay, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know what? This has inspired me, and I know it's inspired the people that were watching today. And just before the very last thing before we go, you had talked a little bit about, you know, taking the note and it's not personal. So just before we go, I just want to make sure that we kind of go over that, because you have said it, you've talked about it, but very more specifically, you know, and this translates to life too. When you're getting critiqued on something, you know, not to take it so personally, but to apply the correction. Of course, as long as it's done in a positive way, and sometimes it isn't. But if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit, because I know we've got some dancers watching, and I think sometimes they take those critiques to heart, which is good, but you've got to take it and apply it. So if you wouldn't mind, just before we close off, that would be great.
Sorry. Hi, Steph. Steph just jumped
Stephanie,
in.
oh my God.
I
I
love her.
know.
I have to
Hi,
speak
Steph.
on Steph just after this for sure. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so I think my advice to that is I always understood notes as it's a note to everyone. Even if someone is being singled out, let's say for something particular or specific, I still apply it, or it doesn't matter who the note's for. I think keep your ears and your eyes open, because that note may apply to you, and just maybe at that moment that teacher didn't see it, or something stuck out and her eye went somewhere, or his or her eye went somewhere else. So I think always assume that when notes are given, assume it's for you too, and just take it. And even if it isn't, register it and make it for yourself. I don't believe, I haven't had any instructors who made me feel terrible about my execution. I think they may have been frustrated due to maybe time constraints or, long days. I think it's, we're working with people, we're working with emotions. Like, it's bound to there's so many different kind of stresses involved. So you can't really let that affect you personally. You just have to know that as long as you're doing your best, you have your A game, you are, you just continue to show up for yourself, for, depending if you're with a course of people, and just do your best, and just know that if you feel a certain way, it's so easy to say, harder to do. Just know that it's not an attack to you as a person. It could be other things. Yeah. But like I said, I think when taking the note, assume it's for you, even if it isn't, if your name wasn't called out. Take it, apply it, and maybe reflect on something that maybe it was something that you didn't even know you were doing too. That's another thing too. Sometimes how we feel and what is actually happening are two different things. That's why mirrors are great sometimes, but also mirrors can be too much of a distraction. Like sometimes when your eyes so much in the mirror, you're losing the essence. So in a way, it's like, use it, but also then, like, do you ever notice when you turn away, when you do combos away from the mirror, it feels different, it looks different. Yeah. So there really is an interesting connection there, or disconnection. So even if you didn't think it was for you, think about it, because it actually maybe could have been, right? Like, so imagine that, I guess maybe like the mirror idea is like, even if I can't see it, doesn't mean it's not happening, So I think
right. It's so true. And I think you learn. Sorry, there's a bit of a time delay there. I think
okay.
that when you're in the class, to really pay attention to what's going on around you, with the other dancers as well, so you're aware of what's going on. And I think not only, like you said, not only take the critique for yourself, but if a critique is or comments being made to another dancer or performer, is really to take it and apply it. Because at some point, if it's not that moment, you will apply it. You'll remember it. It's very important. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And in addition to that, like, keeping the energy in the room positive too. Sometimes certain people could be having a hard day. You don't really know what's going on in the world. And you want to, when you come into a dance room, you want to just put everything aside and just focus on what it is you're doing. But also, there's a lot of times where outside world comes into inside world, and that could affect your day, your ability to dance, your ability to take information. Sometimes you're not here, right? So I think it's also important to, like, be that encouraging person or dance mate or teacher or whatever it is, to kind of be in tune with what's going on and deliver it in a way where it's not going to destroy, your student or your dance mate or someone. Be sensitive to that. And also too, when taking the note, let it come from like one person. You know what I mean? I think dancers want to, I'm just thinking about past experiences, like dancers want to chime in and stuff like that. And I think it's really important to make sure that the notes just come from like one source,
I got it.
Let that be the source.
You said that very well and very, very correct.
But,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think just keeping positivity, staying in tune, staying aware of the room, applying those critiques to yourself, whether it's directed to you or not, and just always working at your best, you know.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good for life in general, every day. Absolutely. Liinda, you brought so much energy and light to today. Thank you so much. You are honestly anti. Anti. Light and anti. Yes. Thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, your experience. I think that anyone that's on today has learned, at least taken away one little nugget from today.
Oh, thank
Even
you.
Jackie just said, really great interview and very valid info for young dancers. So
thank
there
you,
you
Jackie.
go.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Jackie actually lives in Scotland. She's a ballet
cool.
master. Yeah, she's a brilliant ballet teacher. She works in a professional
Fantastic.
school. So yeah, she's brilliant. Another one.
I've never been to Scotland. I'll have to come.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You know what? There you go, Jackie. You've got a flatmate coming.
I love it. I love it. Thanks everyone for tuning in too. So happy to see you. And oh gosh, I wish I could touch you all. I could hug you. But this is great though. This is really cool. Hi, Steph.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. One more thing. Stephanie Viola, I gotta say, she's one of my inspirations from the early days, from the performing dance arts days. I was in a company C, she was in company A, and I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, it was the Viola sisters, the Galati sisters, the Di Gioacchino sisters, and I'm like, I want to be them. Like, I'm going to be that one day.
I understand that. Yeah.
So good. So good. They're just killing it.
Yeah, she's they are another very talented family for sure. Stephanie, I love that you jumped on today. It's amazing. And Ron Walker said, "Great job." Same. The talking points are very similar in the music business as well. So
cool,
it translates everything that we talked about today.
So cool. Yeah. Thank you, Ron.
Well, any last message before we say goodbye to everyone, Liinda?
Yeah, well, I just want to say, you know, stay encouraged, stay present, stay aware, you know, continue training as best as you can, wherever you can, and learn. You know, this is a great time to absorb some new information or to work on what you currently have going on. Take on more, like, why not, you know? And yeah, and just continue to stay positive and stay connected. And yeah, listen to music, get into all kinds of music. It'll inform your dance. It'll inform different ways of expressing too. So like, get into some music that maybe you haven't explored yet. Just dive in because you'll probably dance differently.
I love it.
Or at least imagine things differently. Just get on those streaming services or get on some type of subscription and just tune in. Yeah.
Tune in. I love it. I love it. Liinda Garisto, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I'm so honored.
Of course.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And we'll have you back again.
Okay, great.
Bye, hon. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks again for everyone for tuning in today. Okay, bye.
Bye. See you.